Welcome to What Was He Thinking? My name is A.B. Bracewell. Today I'm going to be your personal tour guide through a man's psyche. Take this journey as we explore why a man thinks the way he thinks, why a man acts the way he acts, and why a man feels the way he feels. No questions off limits, and no topics too hard. By the end of the show, you'll have a better insight and a better understanding of who we are as men. Hello, and welcome to another edition, another episode of What Was He Thinking? This season, as I told you, we're going to be focusing on the sexual education of Black men in America. Today, we're going to specifically be focusing on the sexual education of Black men in America and how it affects Black men as they transition into marriage, into relationships, and into commitment. I have three great brothers. One of them is my blood brother, but the two are like brothers from another mother that I have a long history with. That we went to school together, we grew up together, we had fun. Growing from boys to men. So I'm going to have them on the show today, and they're going to give their experience. They're going to give their wisdom, their knowledge, and just really get their transparent moments of their sexual education as a Black man and how it's shaped and conditioned the way they think, the way they approach relationships, and the way they approach marriage. So without further ado, let me introduce my guests. My first guest is my brother, my blood brother, as I said, Sando Bracewell. The second one I'll be bringing on is my other brother. I'm gonna call him my brother, DJ Trail. Also Jaleel, but we're gonna call him DJ Trail today. And my third brother, to Kevin Williams. Before I even get into the questions that I have for you guys, if you want to give a brief, quick introduction of who you are other than your name.
Okay. Uh, like you just said, I'm his brother, older brother. Um, Originally from Liberia, West Africa, raised in Jersey City, New Jersey. Went to school out there, elementary, high school. Moved to Philadelphia to go to Temple University, where I met the other two brothers at the bottom, Kevin and Trail. We all grew up tight. Um, Graduated, started working, got married, had kids, bought homes, and right now we just living that American dream, so called.
DJ Trail, my real name is Jaleel Brown, also known as DJ Trail. I got a financial company called K&J Financial Solutions. We handle things from credit to real estate to just about anything financially known. And DJ is kind of like a side gig that turned into like my one of my full-time jobs. So I love it. It's a passion. I love what I'm doing, and I'm just happy to be here today.
Yeah, so again, my name is not even again, first time. My name is Kevin. I'm brothers with these guys. Definitely been through a lot with them. I work in computer IT management, do that type of stuff, and again, been married what about 11? Yeah, 11 going on 12 years. So happy to be here as well, and good to see you guys, man. It's good to be able to get together, every now and again when we can. So let's go.
All right, well, let's go. Let's go, man. Thank you guys for being a part of the show, and I'm going to jump right into the first question. And there's no special order. You just get in where you fit in. If you got a response to it, let's hear it. First question is, what was the first time that you can remember where you became aware of sex? So, what was the circumstances? How old were you? What was the story behind it? What was the situation? What was the first time you became aware of
it? All right. Well, I guess I'll go. So it's been like so the actual sex. So when I was maybe second grade, third grade, we knew of sexual activity. We would call it humping. Like we was humping humping women, and that was our sex. We didn't know any better. We was, did you hump her? Yeah, I humped her. So that was it. And then then we got to junior high school. I think that's when you start getting a little more information. So I would say junior high school, around sixth grade, seventh grade, I start really understanding. Oh, that's what they're doing. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my mine is kind of similar, but I think I was a little a late bloomer because I didn't really get it until I transferred from public school to Catholic school, and that was like sixth grade. And they used to have the closet, and every time we had to go get our coats from the closet, the coat closet, that was our opportunity to lift up a skirt. Oh, you lift the skirt up? Yeah, me and my right hand man, you lift the skirt up? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And you had the hot dog, and from lunch, you put it in front of you and wings, wave the hot dog like you're doing something. So I think that's when I first started paying attention, like, oh, whoa, okay. Catholic school is this. It's different.
I was I was super young, man. I was like 8 in the projects, and I was over my man's house, and his sister. I was like 8. His sister was like 10, and then she was tall, so she looked super older than us, and it was just a sad situation because their mom was on crack, and so they ain't had no real guidance. So one day we was in the house by ourselves, and my man was like, "Yeah, go have sex with my sister." I'm like, "Go have sex with your sister?" Like, what's that about? You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do? She was like, "Pull your pants down, pull your privates out, and just lay on top of me." And I was like, all right, I'm 8, I'm like, all right. And she's like, we just got to move around. And then we moved around for like 20 seconds and we got up. And I was like, oh, okay. I was weird and sad.
It's a sad situation, but we all laughing. That's a shame.
Kev,
man. It's a sad situation, man. Come on, bro.
He said he was 8 years old, brother.
Kev got a bad nature, man. I'm telling you. I'm like, it's sad. Kev, like.
He said you got to wiggle around.
We got to wiggle around. I was like, all right. And I ain't know what I was doing, what it was. And
yeah.
It was weird, man, now that I think about it.
now, big bro, I might have to put you out there once or twice because I followed in your footsteps with a lot of stuff. Wherever you was, I was right behind you. So my first exposure to what sex was following my big brother behind him and his buddy. And names are not gonna be named because he already said names.
Oh yeah,
I'm knocking on the door, and they like, come in here and sit down. Don't say nothing. And I go in the room, and there's a porn on.
Oh,
and I'm like, I can't remember how old I was. I can't really remember. I probably was like 11, 12 or something like that. And that was my first time actually seeing it, like what it was. And that was my first exposure. And I know there was several times where we made our way back to that room and popped in VHS tapes and stuff like that. But then then I'll be up late at night. We'll have cable, but we didn't have HBO. I'll be up trying to look at the scrambled channels, put it the late night stuff, see if I could see some type of picture behind the scramble. So that was like my first exposure to what sex was, like the actual act of sex, like seeing it do porn. So my next question It's good that everybody has like a different experience or a different type of exposure. Because I've done this show and a lot of guys have similar, but everybody got a different story. And so my next question, um, after you was exposed to sex, after you started to learn about it and be more interested in it, what was the lesson that was taught to you and your other male friends, or the conversations that you guys had about sex? What was the general lessons that was taught about
Well, I mean, there wasn't really no lesson, but it was more peer pressure. You know, you know, saying you ain't getting nothing, saying, yeah, yes, I am. No, you're not. You're a virgin. So it was more about bragging about something you never did in your life. So everybody is basically lying on it. You know, we all in elementary school, but back then we call it elementary school. Now they call it middle school. Seventh, eighth grade, bragging about how we did this with that girl. So it was all about trying to look cool. You know, you don't you're not learning a lesson, but you learn how to lie. Lie about stuff that you don't know nothing about except for stuff that you watched on a video or maybe heard some other adults talking. But that's all it really was, you know. So I mean, that's what I got from it. When I think back on it, it was just really about bragging about stuff you don't know nothing about.
it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, so it's similar. You know, the lessons was more, it was more trophy oriented. Like, yeah, I got that, and you know, it's an accomplishment that, you know, I did. So it was a, you know, braggadocious trophy type situation. You know, and it was the same type of pressure. Although, you know, we were told, you know, you can't lie, you can't lie because, you know, things get smaller or something like that. So so
You still lied anyway.
yeah, we believed it and we didn't lie, and you just had to be the butt of the jokes. So, you know, you're not, you know, so yeah, I definitely remember it being more like a, hey, you know, I did this, and you know, you haven't done this. I did this and that, and you know, so it was like a braggadocious type of um environment and a lesson, like catch up to me type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like a standard thing. You know what I mean? Like me and my homies, I probably was like one of the coolest out of them. So it was just like it was like trying to maintain this reputation of being
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
Part of being cool was, you know, like I always got a lot of Johns, you know what I mean? Like I always stayed with the prettiest John. And so it was like, yo, like if I'm snatching these pretty Johns, I best believe I gotta be hitting it. And then you know the old heads in our neighborhood, back then we had old heads. They don't have that now. The old heads be like, yo, you bagging that? Like we would all play ball, and your girl might walk up, or you know, the old head might see you with a John, like, yo, I know you hitting that shorty, and you like, yeah, old head, like, you know, you trying to be cool for the OG, like, yeah, I'm hitting that, and he's like, oh, that's what's up, and you know, they giving you love, and you know, that was that kind of affectionate, you know, you got from the OGs, like, yeah, you know, he out here looking fresh and bagging Johns and smashing, you know, that's my young boy. You know, it was like a proud moment. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
reputation stands.
Hmm.
Yes.
And it's funny because what all y'all saying is you're saying very similar things, and I think what Kev said, you know, is very relatable. You start to you kind of taught, even if it's not a real lesson, it's something that's you know, an example that you see that sex is a trophy. And the way you gain that trophy is by getting women. So in a way, women start to look like an object. Like, you know, they look at it as a, you don't see them as fully human. You almost start to look at them as, you know, a way to gain status or a way to gain pleasure. Because we're just taught that, you know, hey, you get sex, you're gonna be considered cool, or you have sex, you're gonna be considered like you're gonna be the man. So you know, that's how they start to become objectified. And what any thoughts about that? Or am I the only one on that page? As far as how the lessons we learn and the examples that we seen growing up, how it led to us objectifying women just for sex during our earlier age?
I think that's on point. I think most straight men can basically say that we all had that at some point in our life, especially high school, college, that age group where bottom line is every girl is a notch in your belt. And the more notches you can get in your belt, the cooler you are, you know? And I think, yeah, I agree with you. So I agree with that.
I'm with that too. I feel like I don't think you really start to get out of that objectifying mode until you get older, maybe like in your 30s. Because when you going through college, you running through Jones. Like you ain't really like, you might think like, oh, I want Shorty to be like my girl, but then you might be thinking the same thing about some other chick. You know what I'm saying? I want her to be my girl too. So then it's like why do I, what do I see in one versus the other? And it's like, oh well, she got, can we curse in this jar? No,
Try not to.
Shorty, one girl might have a big booty. I'm gonna say that. Some other chick might have better breasts, and it's like you like, well, she looked better than her, and now you back to objectifying, and it still get like that. It's like even when you leave college, and then you trying to find the right woman, ain't nobody. I mean, truth be told, ain't nobody trying to be no ugly John. Let's be realistic. You know what I mean? So I when I go see a John, the first thing I'm thinking of, I'm thinking of how good she look, how her feet look. I ain't worried about what her IQ is until I actually get to know her, because I might not even end up being with this chick. She might just be a one-nighter and that's it. So we don't get out that stage until we like older. I mean, it's sad, but it's realistic.
Mm-hmm. And for those that aren't from Philly, let me just translate for Jalil that Joan means girls or women or anything for that matter. Kev, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, I don't know when you grow out of it, but, it's definitely, objectifies. It's the first thing, like relationships are not even taught yet. That's, you learn that further down the line is, and then you find out, relationships is this to get to, to the object. So it is just a means to the end. So I know when, the guys around the way was teaching me, we rarely was in relationships. We just was, trying to get relationships, for lack of a better word, So the objectivity was definitely like first before you get to the point where you mature and like, wait, this is different. So yeah, I agree totally with all you guys.
Okay. So when we come back from commercial break, we're going to talk about that transition. As we said, like these three brothers are all married now. So we're going to explore how they transition from that mindset before marriage to where they are now. Be back in a few.
We often measure our relationship readiness by external factors, the degrees, the career, the dream house. Even though these things are great to have, it's usually the internal things that really determine if we are truly ready for a happy and healthy relationship. Are we healed from past hurt? Have we strengthened ourselves spiritually? Do we know who we are as a person? Do we have a mutuality mindset? Ready for a Relationship, the self-growth guide to internal readiness, addresses all of these questions. For more information, go to www.readyforrelationship.com.
Welcome back to What Was He Thinking? This is the sexual education of Black men in America. And when we just left off at that, making that transition from what we learned as younger boys, as young men, and how that view on sex affected and impacted the way we viewed women. But now, as I said right before we went off break, we're dealing with three married men now. So that was in their past. That was in their past. So Nobody gonna get in trouble for this one, right? We different men now. We grown. So my first question is though, how did that mindset, how did that view on sex and women impact your marriage or impacted you when you started to look for a wife? What did you have to change, or how did it impact you while you was in the marriage?
I'll go. So, first, before we even got to marriage, then it was more relationship. So just learning and understanding how to be in a relationship or a monogamous relationship was that bridge between what we were doing and getting to marriage. So you spent years doing that, like monogamous relationship. And I think that was for me the bridge because, until like my close friends, actually, Sando was one of them that was in like a relationship. I'm like, what are we doing? And that's when I was like, well, maybe this is what we're supposed to be doing. So I know in the beginning, like he definitely was one of the people that influenced me to say, hey, settle down and be in a relationship. And then so you start to see the benefits of actually being in a relationship, having that one person there for you. So I think that for
Appreciate that,
me,
brother.
that was the bridge to getting to the point where in marriage, you're doing that. So
Sando told you that?
well, nah, like by example. So yeah. So like
I appreciate that, Mr. Williams.
it's so steady,
Not those
Sandra was
exact words.
no, he didn't tell me.
Lead
I
by
lead by
example.
example. Yeah, he was in, he was in a relationship, and then my roommate, my other guy was in a relationship, and these are the guys I hung with, and they both in relationships and double dating and stuff, and so it was. So I just started seeing it, the benefits of that, and say, hey, let me give it a try. So
I think you learn through trial and error, really. When you with that woman in the beginning, like Jalil said, it's all about the looks. We originally jump into it for the looks. And then after you get past the looks, then you get to see what they're about. Once you get to see what they're about, if you guys have that in common, then you start spending more and more time together. As you spend that time together, you start seeing your likes and your dislikes, what you like, what you don't like about each other, and you adjust. And the more time you spend together, it's almost like slowly pushing all the other people out, because at one time we all have multiple chicks here, there, and other way. But as you spend more time with that one person, those people start to see, oh, I'm not hearing from this person as much. I wonder what happened to them. And then they find out, oh, he in something serious. After a while, they all start falling off. And the woman you're with, she pays attention. She'll notice, like, okay, I see he's not getting as many. Back then, I had the beeper, and I had the little white box called ID. Oh, I don't see that many female names on that call ID no more. His beeper not going off no more. He's not saying I'll be right back no more. And they pay attention to all those little changes as the years go on. So I think it all starts with that quality time of getting to know each other, and eventually, it's up to the man really, to make that step and be like, look, I think I'm ready. So that's my experience.
I mean, with me, I don't think it had anything to do with like a sex transition. With me, what made me start to settle down was probably between my first and second marriage. So because even in my first marriage, even though I ain't have that much of a great wife, I still was. I'm sorry. I was still doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? And was like, I did what a husband was supposed to do financially and physically, and taking care of her kids, and things of that nature, and putting her in a home and things in that nature. But I felt like with me and her, it just I don't think I was out of that playing stage. I think like I was like a juggler in a circus. I just had women, and I don't think I was done with that yet. And I think I got married too early, but the marriage taught me a lesson when it was over about, this is not the right way of doing things. And then when I even took a sabbatical from women and was like, I'm not going to really be talking to women like that until not in a sense of like like I was still knocking chicks down, but in the sense of I'm not going to be in a serious relationship.
What kind of sabbatical?
What kind of
sabbatical is that, man?
I was in the relationship sabbatical. You know what I mean? Like, I was letting chicks know, like, yo, like I just got out of a marriage. I'm not trying to be in a relationship. You know, you want to get up, we can get up. But other than that, man, I'm like, I didn't want the relationships. I didn't want none of that. I wanted to focus on what kind of person I am. And then when I found out what person I was, then I got with my wife now. And you know, I mean, and it's rocky. Marriages are rocky, but guess what? You rather find somebody you can pick it and deal with it. You know what I mean? So for me, it was just the bad marriage that taught me this is how good marriage is supposed to be.
Okay. Before we start to wrap it up, for a single man that's trying to gain control over his sexual urges and looking to transition into, that commitment, that marriage stage, what advice would you give that man?
I would
Honestly,
say, man, just live your life. Don't transition. If you feel like it's hard, like you want to transition and it's hard, nah, be single. Get all that out. Get all the threesomes, the foursomes, the swinging. Get all that out. Because once you're in the relationship, that's it. You can't go back and be like, oh, I gotta go do this one more threesome. You know what I mean?
Okay. I agree. That's basically what I was gonna say. Like you can't just stop it. You can't just stop it. It's gotta be something that's gonna happen naturally. Because anything you force is gonna probably come back, regardless of what it is. But especially when it comes to that, you gotta just let it happen naturally. You can't just say, okay, today I'm gonna stop messing around and just get focused. It doesn't work like that. You get with somebody and y'all bump heads. Now, first thing you're gonna do is what? Call that chick.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's the answer because you forced it. You didn't just let it happen naturally. But I agree with you.
Yeah, that's tough. I think you can't. Yeah, I agree. Forcing it is hard because then it's going to come off as a restriction, and we don't like restrictions. We don't like to be restricted. So, what's going to happen? I think for advice, you have to understand. I think that the person should understand that chances are the urges won't go away. It's just how you handle the urges. You know what I'm saying? So you can don't think that you're not ready because you have the urges. How you determine if you're ready is how you handle the urges. Can you turn the urges down? Can you say no? Do you use that as your crutch? Like you guys were saying, when there's something going bad, I'm gonna just go to X or go to Z. If you can handle your urges and learn how to handle your urges, then you can move forward. But if you still can't handle your urges and you can't stop, then I think like these guys saying that, maybe you want to, continue being single, but at the same time, you got to realize what you're leaving behind. There's not too many great people in this world. There's not too many great women in this world. So, if you sacrificing these great women to play around, then when you get to a certain situation in your life and you can't find any great women or anybody, that you want to be with, then you sort of put it, it comes back to you. So that's tough to give a young man, advice on that.
There you have it, man. I just want to thank you guys for being a part of the show, coming with your wisdom and your perspective on the sexual education of Black men in America. I'm sure people are going to sit back and watch this episode and they're going to learn from it. They're going to grow from it. And I just want to give you guys another thank you for taking out the time out of your busy schedules and being a part of it. For all those that are viewing, I appreciate you. I love you. From What Was He Thinking? I'm A.B. Bracewell, the host. Have a good night. God bless.
On the next episode of What Was He Thinking?
We're going to have the ladies to dive deep into our minds. They have some thoughts that they have to add to the conversation.